Hello, my name is Cathy Hill, and I'm the financial aid liaison here at Laurel Ridge. I just started the end of April, so I am learning a lot, and I hope that you will find this useful as you join me today, and it will be beneficial for you. You can follow up with me with questions after this presentation. My email is chill, CHILL, at laurelridge.edu. So if you do have any questions, feel free to follow up. I'm here to help you on your educational journey, and I hope that you're ready to start to plan because, again, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So we're here to talk about goals and why we should set them. So goal setting helps you to be more productive in all areas of your life. Goals give you a distinct path to follow, which can be broken up into smaller steps and make it easier to achieve. So with a clear path to your objective, you won't waste time trying to figure out your next move. And as you work toward an objective, you'll be forced to make decisions that can take you closer to or potentially further from that goal. And the more goals you set, especially the long-term ones, the easier it gets to make those effective decisions. When you have goals, you know what you want and how to get there. You can use this improved sense of clarity to determine what you want out of life, including your career, relationships, and personal accomplishments. So, what are your goals? If you haven't started thinking about the answers to these questions, it's a great time to start. Meeting with your academic advisor is a great first step to clarify those goals. Our advisors are here to help and guide you. They're a great resource, so be sure to meet with them regularly. So, goals are SMART, and here's a handy way to remember what SMART stands for. So, SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So, here's some questions to ask yourself. What exactly do you want to achieve? Will you measure your success? What skills and abilities do you have to achieve your goals? And why is achieving your goal important to you? How much time do you have to achieve your goal? And I'll show you a sample SMART goals planning sheet in a future slide, but first a short video. And just to warn you, this 2-minute classroom video is actually more than 2 minutes.
Thanks for stopping by. This is 2 Minute Classroom, and today we're talking about setting goals using the SMART method. Goal setting is a great activity anytime, but is especially popular around New Year's, at the start of the school year, and the beginning of sports season. I would love to hear some of your goals in the comments, and I'll put some of mine in the description below. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. We'll go through each of these using the example goal of doing well on your next exam, a common goal for students. The first step is to make the goal specific. Doing well on your next exam is not specific. Try to answer the questions of what, when, and why. Let's specify your what as scoring at least 90% on your next science exam. For the when, it'll be whenever the exam is. Let's say it's in 4 weeks. The why is very important, as this is your motivation for the goal and something you can look back on if you get discouraged. It could be to improve your grade in the course, to score higher than a friend, or because you want to get into a great university. Whatever will motivate you to keep working on the goal. So now we have a much more specific goal. Score at least 90% on the next science exam 4 weeks from now to help you get into a great university. This goal is looking great, but we're not done yet. The next step is to make sure the goal is measurable. That means there are some metrics attached to the goal to let you know if you reach your goal or not. Looking back at our goal, we see that it is to score at least 90%. This is very measurable, and once you've taken the test and received a score, you will know whether or not you hit the goal. This is why doing well in your next exam is a poor goal. It is not measurable, and there is no clear way to define success or failure. The next step is to check whether the goal is achievable or not. In this step, you want to break the goal down and answer the question of how you will achieve this goal. What do you need to do in the next 4 weeks to get at least 90% on the exam? Some examples may include taking notes in class, spending 30 minutes 3 nights per week studying for the exam, and partnering with a friend a week before the exam to review notes and go through a study guide. The point is, you need a plan. Break the goal down into smaller goals that all feed up to the main goal. This will give you a clear path to success. The fourth step is to ensure the goal is relevant. And this step is more of a gut check to see if it fits well with your life right now. Ask yourself the following questions. Does this goal align with my long term objectives? Does it keep me on track with other goals in my life? Will focusing on this goal pull me away from other more important goals? After thinking through this step, you should feel confident your goal is relevant and be even more motivated to achieve it. Scoring at least 90% on your next science exam is relevant because it will give you confidence in school and feed into larger goals around future education and career. The last step is to make the goal time bound. A time bound deadline acts as a target and helps you work backwards and set smaller steps to get there. If you set a fitness goal to do 100 consecutive push ups, but don't set a deadline to reach that goal, then it probably won't happen. Hitting a certain score on an exam is time bound by default because there is a specific date for the exam, which allows us to break the goal into smaller steps leading up to the exam. And here's a bonus tip. If you truly want to reach your goals, then you have to write them down and look at them often. I recommend keeping a daily or weekly planner to track your progress. I put some excellent planner recommendations in the description that will help you make your goals a reality. Remember to share your goals in the comments. I'll read and respond to as many of them as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Okay, so here is the sample SMART goal sheet. So as he mentioned, getting the goals out of your head and on paper makes it easier. It makes it easier to share your goals with others because they can help to keep you accountable, give you feedback and encouragement. So it's easier to achieve those goals when you have someone to talk with, especially over coffee. And that will make more sense after watching the next video.
In a quiet university classroom, a philosophy professor walks in with a large empty jar. His students look up, curious. What begins as an ordinary class turns into a life lesson none of them will forget. Without a word, the professor begins to fill the jar with large rocks, one by one, until he can fit no more. He asks the class, "Is the jar full?" They all nod. "Yes," they say. He smiles. "Really?" The professor then picks up a container of small pebbles and pours them into the jar. They roll into the gaps between the rocks. Again, he asks, "Is it full now?" The class laughs and agrees it must be. He then reaches under the table and brings out a bag of sand. Carefully, he pours the sand into the jar. It fills every tiny space left. "Now?" he asks with a raised eyebrow. The class chuckles. "Yes, now it's full." Just when the students think it's over, the professor surprises them again. He takes 2 cups of coffee and pours them into the jar. The class erupts in laughter. The coffee seeps through the sand. He smiles and waits. The professor looks up. "This jar represents your life," he explains. "The rocks are the important things: family, health, passions. The pebbles are other things that matter: your job, your home. The sand is everything else, small stuff." He pauses. "If you fill the jar with sand first, there's no room for the rocks or pebbles. A student raises their hand, smiling. What about the coffee? The professor chuckles. Ah, yes. No matter how full your life may seem, there's always room for a couple cups of coffee with a friend. The room fills with warmth. In a world full of endless tasks and noise, it's easy to lose sight of the big rocks. We fill our lives with distractions, chasing things that don't matter. But life isn't about doing more. It's about doing what truly matters. So take a moment today. Ask yourself, what are your rocks? What would your jar look like? And most importantly, are you leaving space for coffee?
I really liked that story in particular, and I hope that you felt like you could relate to it. So now let's talk about those rocks in a different way. When addressing barriers, it's important to address those big important ones first, then tasks with an average importance, and finally the small, less important tasks. So what are those big barriers, both academically and personally? What resources do you need to overcome those obstacles? Who can you have coffee with to talk about those struggles? There are lots of people here at Laurel Ridge who want to see you succeed and cheer you on. For example, whether you are doing well in a class or not, go to the instructor's office hours. These folks are here to help you, and they're much more likely to meet you in the middle when they know more about you. And again, they are your future references. So communication is so very important. We can't help you unless we know what's going on. Now, here's another way to look at those rocks. Time. Time is the most valuable resource you have because once you spend it, you can never get it back. So make sure you are spending your time on what really matters. Adulting is not always easy, but neither is life. So you will need to do your part in spending your time wisely. In fact, time management is often what students struggle with the most, but have the most control over. Now, you can use this QR code to go to our website, and as you can see, there are a lot of campus resources. There's even more than I can list here. These resources are here for you, so take advantage of them. As I might have mentioned earlier, coming to college can often feel like you're learning a new language with acronyms. For example, OADS, OADS stands for the Office of Academic or the Office of Accommodations and Disability Services. I had to ask, and again, if something comes up and you don't know what it means, it's it's okay to ask. Please do. And again, there are tons of resources available in the community as well, and we have these listed on our website. So please do not to hesitate to seek help when you need it. In the previous slide, there was the campus food pantry listed, and that is available for everyone, for students, staff, and faculty. So say you forget your lunch and you don't have any cash on you to go to the Laurel Cafe, you can go to the food pantry. Now, SAP, Satisfactory Academic Progress. This is more academic information, and it's important for all students to make satisfactory academic progress, even those not on a financial aid. But those who are on financial aid have to meet specific criteria to maintain that aid. And I'll go into more detail in the next few slides, but you can use the QR code to get to our website to learn more. And the big three are the GPA, course completion rate, and maximum time frame. So GPA, it stands for grade point average. So I recommend always shooting to get at least a C in every class. then you won't have to worry about the GPA requirement. However, there are some academic programs that may require higher grades to remain in the program, so be sure to meet with your academic advisor for specific requirements. And I hope that you can see that as you progress through your studies, the GPA requirement grows, and this QR code should take you to the grading scale in the catalog if you need to calculate what you might need to improve your GPA. The course completion rate, or the 67% rule, you must pass at least 67% of the classes you take every semester to maintain that financial aid. And I want to point out in particular the W. So that refers to withdrawals. So if you're not doing well in a class, make sure you know the last day to drop without a grade penalty, because that W counts against you when it comes to the 67% rule. And you can find those important dates in the academic calendar. The 150% rule is oftentimes a little bit more confusing. It basically means that you can't stay a student for a long time. They want you to make sufficient progress. So, for example, 60 hours is required for the associate's degree. So 150% of that would be 90 credit hours, and that would be the maximum allowed. Sometimes students may pursue another associate's or certificate, which they are allowed to do, but they would have to submit a SAP appeal if they want to continue to have financial aid. And they would have to do that every semester until they complete that second credential. Oftentimes at Laurel Ridge, they try to send a warning notification when students are getting close to not meeting SAP, because we don't want students to lose their aid. But yes, sometimes people have a terrible semester, and if some things are beyond their control, a family member gets sick, they have an accident, and at other times students are just struggling academically. And they can submit an appeal to request that the financial aid be reinstated. And you can see here some of the things that the appeal committee considers as far as, did you provide the adequate documentation? Have you appealed in the past? What caused you to not meet SAP? What things have changed so that you are ready to succeed? And have you been meeting with your academic advisor or the tutors? So, and again, it's very important to seek help as soon as you start to struggle, because again, not every appeal is awarded. Now, there are many different resources, like I had mentioned, on campus. Here are some of the big ones, so that if you are struggling, please reach out and contact someone. And you can contact me. That's one reason I'm here. I may not always know the answer, but together we can look for the answer. And again, anytime you have a question, you can email me here at this email. I might not always be available, so this finaid@laurelridge.edu, that's all of the financial aid advisors can answer that as well. And I hope you have a wonderful semester. Thanks so much.